And welcome back to another exciting episode of our Less of a Man podcast. Yeah, we had some technical difficulties to start off with. You good, Char, now?
I'm good.
So as always, we just want to start off with our mental health check-in. So EJ.
Yeah, so this week's been a struggle for me. I really felt very unmotivated and I'm not really wanting to deal with a lot of the customers at both of my jobs. I'm had enough of the Karens and the
Kevins.
Yeah, like Karen it's Kevin.
Yeah, I
Okay.
heard Kevin.
all of the stuff, man. Like people are just like off the chains. Like literally, this lady, every time she comes in, the same thing. She drives a Porsche, and it's not an old Porsche. It's the new Porsche. It's like
Oh, nice.
it's a pearl Porsche.
Oh,
And
wow.
she's some type of like, I want to say like Middle Eastern descent. You can tell she's from New York. She wants this coffee that's 12 ounces. She wants us to put it in a 26 ounce cup.
Oh, really?
And she wants us to fill the drink all the way to the top with milk. So she wants to pay only for a 12 ounce cup and make her drink into 26 ounces and pay for the 12 ounce. And she doesn't feel like we should upcharge her.
So she doesn't want to pay for the milk. is what she's
ballistic
saying.
every time.
Yeah.
So dealing with people like that, I kind of had enough this week. As far as me and myself, I've been low key just trying to like, bring it down and get calm because there's so much going on around the world today. But
Yes. Yeah, it is a lot going on in the world today. So what about you, Char?
It's been okay. I've had an okay week.
Just okay?
Yeah. I'm trying to get back in these streets, so I'm looking for a job. So I'm putting in a lot of applications, a few hits here and there. So that's been kind of the depressing part of my week. I've been having some interesting conversations this week, so I guess we'll talk about those a little bit later because it's related to our topic. But overall, it's been cool. We had some unexpected family from Chattanooga to come in last night to say hello to Shanita and her mom. So that was a surprise.
Oh, are they staying with you?
No, they were here last night. So
Okay.
I came in from doing my microdermabrasion for the month. And only to discover that they were actually here visiting for so I didn't expect them to come in. So it ended up being a nice visit because it gave me the chance to learn more about her family that lives in Chattanooga. So but other than that,
It don't sound like it was a nice visit.
Titan Nation.
Yeah.
but I resorted to going upstairs. I went upstairs while the visiting was happening.
Why?
Wow.
Why would you do that?
Because also it was all female, so at that moment, so I gave her a chance to kind of get to talk to her family instead of just kind of being the center of attention. So
The center of attention?
That's
Yeah.
so not Southern like hospitality.
no, it was sudden because I actually went to the store and purchased pizza for them to eat. Well, I didn't purchase pizza. I went ahead and picked up the pizza, and made sure everything was okay before I went upstairs and kind of abandoned everyone and did my own thing.
Abandoned.
I just don't like. I guess I just don't like your wording of it.
No, it was a great visit for them. So I'm happy she got a chance to talk to her family.
Okay. Well, Raw's not here because he's sick, quote unquote.
Yeah,
We have to confirm.
we have to confirm the sickness.
Yeah, we have to confirm before he comes back. So you might
Yeah.
not see him for 3 weeks because we have to confirm what the sickness is. I was asking a question because somebody put a meme there. Like, do people get regular sick anymore, or is it all coronavirus?
It's all
now?
corona.
It's all everything's
Everything's
related to
So you might not see Raw for a couple of weeks while we do some investigating to figure out
But
the
early
sickness.
reports is saying that it's food poisoning. That's what we heard. So
Yes.
Can coronavirus cause food
I know,
poisoning
right?
symptoms?
so get well, whatever your sickness may be.
Get well, but figure out what it is before
figure it
you
out.
come back.
Yeah, let us know what's up. Temperature will be taken at the door. Just let you know.
So with me, I know that I usually, make a little joke about my week or whatever, but I want to be a little serious with this because the NFL just started, and just some things that were very interesting, and I think it coincides with what we kind of talk about already. First, I want to talk about Dak Prescott when he was talking about his mental health issues and being open about it, and his mom had just passed. His brother had committed suicide. so he's talking about even being isolated within the coronavirus times and going through his emotions. And shockingly, Skip Bayless, which is one of the commentators on Fox Sports 1 on Undisputed, criticized him for it, basically saying that he's a leader of the football team and he shouldn't openly express his emotions because that'd be a weakness, basically his depression. And I thought that was interesting because we just had a topic personally about toxic masculinity, because that's what this is, and also about mental health. And I just was like, that's shocking to me that we're kind of still having these conversations. And I just thought it was very important. It was sad for me, for us who have all dealt with, kind of mental health problems, to kind of hear that he should not open up about it because he's the leader of the Dallas Cowboys, which was crazy to me.
I mean, and even aside from the mental health, how are you going to tell someone how to mourn? Like, that's a process of grieving. Like, right. Maybe the opening up and speaking about it is helping him to grieve. He not only lost a parent, but then lost
a brother, yes.
Sibling, so.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
Yeah, so, of course, his other brother, they didn't respond too kindly to that, but to sit here and tell, because that press out basically said that I opened up to make it easier for somebody else to open up, which is what we all do, right? This is why we're on the show. We all do that. It was just interesting to hear that take, and I was shocked kind of by it, especially because Skip Bayless is a huge Dallas Cowboys fan. I was just shocked that was kind of his take on it. Mm-hmm. The other thing I do want to talk about is football related again, and Shar actually brought this up a little earlier, and he was talking about how we're all supposed to be one America, right? And the problem is, though, so during the football game, the Kansas City Chiefs and Houston Texans, this was after the national anthem got sung. This has nothing to do with the flag, it has nothing to do with the anthem. People were booing them as they were locked arms to show unity. Now, this is a team that has white people, black people, so it's a mixture, but people were booing in the stands as they were showing unity. I think that's just interesting about how we are as America. Like, we only want to be Americans when we're going against black people. You know what I'm saying? So when we talk about Black Lives Matter, now we want to talk about All Lives Matter. We want to say America is not this racist place and we all should be Americans. But when you see stuff like this, how as us as black people, because they're basically just saying unity. They're not saying...
They weren't saying anything specific.
Yeah. They're just saying unity. They're just saying we're together, the basis of what America is, and people still booed them.
Yeah.
So, and that's why I'm on my kick. Charles laughing. That's why I'm on my kick. That
yeah. We just had a conversation about, do we want to embrace the philosophies of Marcus Garvey, or do we want to try to become the vision that MLK had for our country in terms of one unit, one entity, we all under one belief in this one America. And it seems like not seems like it is, we are definitely separated as a country, just in every aspect when we start to think about our lives. I know Edward brought up the point of when we look at the Asian community, when we look at Hispanic communities, when we look at the Indian communities, that all these communities kind of create their separate entity within the America that we live in. And should we, as black people, take a page from that and start to kind of develop our own communities where we try to become one? And I think that's an interesting topic for us to explore in terms of what we really want as a country, or as a people, I guess, which one is more important.
Yeah, because I think we sit here and act like I got family members that say, I don't like being called African American. They don't like the term. It's like, we're all Americans. Well, they were all Americans too when they showed unity on this field and got booed.
Yeah.
So it's just like, so what's reality and what's perception? I would be interested, Martin Luther King was alive today, what would his comment be when he saw that?
Yeah.
Like, literally, no, it was nothing about a flag. It was nothing about the national anthem. All they did was stood there locked arms.
I know this is a weird question. So I know what your take on what we should do.
Uh-huh.
So does that mean we have a B NFL and a B NBA, or how would that work in terms of how you see what our country should be?
They had already talked about, at the beginning of the NBA bubble, they talked about starting their own NBA league. Not NBA, but own basketball league. I just always believe that the only way we're going to truly be equal is separation. And that I feel like that's kind of the answer because, again, what we just saw on Monday was people locking arms showing unity and people in the stands booing that.
Okay.
So then it's not about the flag. It's not about American pride. It's literally you're booing about race. Like it's just, and that's why I say with these situations that happen, the only way we can truly be equal, I would think, is by kind of separation and building our own communities to be separate, and the money stays within those communities.
So do you feel? I guess what crossed my mind just now is it seems like all the communities that I mentioned are minorities in our country.
Right.
When I really kind of pay attention to it. So the question is that do you feel like there's enough people in our country? Do you feel like what you said is the belief of everyone, or do you think the majority of our country truly want to embrace the concept of what America is supposed to be?
I don't know. You want to take that?
I don't think. I think if we talk about people as a whole, I don't really feel like we understand what that means.
Mm-hmm.
Only because there's so many things that are already in play that would come to making an equal playing field for all people in America, and we don't really talk about those things, right? Mm-hmm. Now, will I say for Black people in general, do we want to necessarily or do we feel like we necessarily fit into that? I will say most people probably feel like they don't.
Well, it wasn't built for us from the beginning.
Very true. Yeah. That's true. But also to your point of, if we look at communities, it's not like something that we're doing that where we're separating each other. It's a natural separation, right? Mm-hmm. So usually Black people gravitate where Black people are, Indian people, Jewish people. So it's a natural progression. White people, they live in their areas as well. So it's like a natural silo, right? For each of those. The only difference is just how we respond to that, right? Mm-hmm. We, instead of coming together to build up our communities, we kind of tear it down and we tear each other down. So I think, when you're talking about how we rebuild ourselves, we have to start to recycle our money into those areas. We were having this discussion earlier. We have to funnel our money back into our areas, build our Black businesses in those communities, and then also pull in opportunities to those from different areas. But the only way we're going to be able to do that is if we build up our communities so that these businesses that we do want, and we decide which businesses we want in those areas, will want to do business there as well. So we kind of need to market ourselves by first improving our own communities, coming together to improve our own communities. Okay. And I think we'll see change there.
And I'll give you one more challenge to that, because the question is, can we truly once again become a Tulsa, Oklahoma, where we know that they created their own resources, had their own supply chains, where the money did stay in their community?
Why couldn't we? That's what Edward's saying, that we have to change mindset.
Think about the structure of our country, and I think we've had a conversation about this. It's more than just owning your own business. It's getting the resources to supply that business. It's and all that. The example I always bring up, because I used to work for Coca-Cola, and one of my jobs was to go to various suppliers that we use to put together our product. And you think about a Coke. I'll just use the example of a Coke bottle. With a Coke bottle, you have the bottle itself, you have a cap, you have the label, you have the resin that it used to make the bottle, and each of those individual entities, it takes a company to provide those parts. With every supplier that I went to, the majority of those owners were white, and the presence of African Americans to that entity of the business was not present. So where we come into play in terms of being business owners is that we are selling the Coke, but we're not responsible for actually making the product that actually builds it. So even if we have that concept of becoming Black owned and supporting Black businesses, we still in essence are making our counterparts much richer. And those are sometimes the things that we don't think about as far as, can we truly get to the point where we are able to stand around on our own? Because in a sense, we're already a few steps behind. I mean, and even being able to build that type of system in the country that we live in.
So let's talk about one thing, and let's not downplay the power that
there is importance
in the power that we have as Black Americans in America.
Yeah.
3 trillion spend dollars in spending power is what we have as Black people just in America.
Yeah.
$3 trillion. We can do whatever the heck we want. We can build whatever the heck we want with that amount of money. Now, what I will say is that we don't encourage our Black children to go into those areas, right? We need to build them into, we need to kind of encourage them to go into engineering. We need to encourage them to go into medical fields. We need to encourage them to go into these other areas that we don't necessarily see a lot of representation. How are we going to do that? We have to start back in our communities. We have to get our educational systems onto par with other areas around them. They are not going to get those opportunities unless they are educated enough to want to go to college and understand the importance of moving to college if it's necessary. Because some of those things don't require a college degree.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
Well, that's my point also, yeah.
also, to your point about whether or not we can sustain ourselves. So let's talk about Apple. Apple is a huge company. Do you know that most of their parts come from Google or from Samsung makes products for them because they can't create it themselves. Now, did that stop Apple from becoming a huge corporation? Absolutely not. So what to your point is, yes, we can use white-owned businesses to build our communities, and we can learn about their techniques and how they're doing it to then create our own businesses. So might we need to rely on other resources that are already there? You don't recreate the wheel, right?
Yeah.
You learn it, you learn it, and you do better. You improve upon what you're learning from them. So in essence, we do have the ability to do it. Will it be something that we can do immediately? No.
Yeah.
We'll tap the resources that we can tap, figure out how to do it better and more efficient, and then take it into our areas.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you there. It's just that do we have the organization to actually create it?
That's the problem.
Yeah,
that's what I was
that's a
getting
whole
at.
nother.
Yeah,
and
that's a whole nother. Yeah.
and I think that kind of starts with the next generation. So we have to